Hello, thank you so much for tuning in and watching this class sequence. This sequence is going to be a little bit different because I actually did not design this one. So, if you don't know this about me, I teach yoga at a community college. I also teach meditation and restorative yoga there. And I teach on the continuing education side and on the curriculum side. So for spring semester, I had 25 students in the curriculum side. They learn lots of different styles of yoga, breath work, and meditation techniques. And then at the end of the semester, for their final exam, they design their own yoga sequence. So of the 25 students, I have chosen one to share with you, which is called Balance and Back Relief Yoga. And this sequence I really liked because I think balance is something that a lot of people express wanting to work on. And the entire back space is an area that lots of us have tightness, stiffness, just stuff going on. So we can always use some really nice stretches for our back. So this class in particular was designed by a student called Cruz, and he's got an extensive background with lots of different types of exercise modalities in the military. And now he has become a yogi and has developed this really great sequence. So I want to share it with you. And I also want to give a shout out to Cruz, who graduated this month from the community college. So I hope you like his sequence. I love it, and I'm so excited to share it with you. I'm going to do it without blocks, but you're welcome to incorporate blocks into the practice if you'd like. And we are going to start off in a tabletop position. So from your comfortable seat, just bring your legs to one side and then position yourself so that you've got your wrist under your shoulders and your knees under your hips. Now, when you look down to your hands, you want to spread your fingers wide, firmly pressing your palms down to the mat. So I will say that Cruz had some awesome cues. Some of the cues might be the same, some might be a little bit different. But just feel free to watch the demos and listen to my voice as I guide you through each movement. So starting off in our tabletop position, we're going to internally rotate the shoulders. So think about bringing the inside of the elbows in towards each other. And then we can gently rock from side to side, back and forth, just warming up our wrist. This might even feel good to you in your hips. Also, welcome to my backyard. I'm filming from home today, which is really nice. I love to be outside in nature. Feels so nice to hear the birds chirping and just feeling that sunshine. Getting that vitamin D. So just give yourself time to feel it out. I like to take hip circles here as well. Also great for warming up the wrist. And at this point, we can really notice how our body's feeling already. Okay, then we'll find center. From center, we'll come into some cat-cow movements. So on an inhale breath, we'll let the belly lower towards the mat. Feel the tailbone rise. And as you exhale, lift your back like a Halloween cat. And again, inhale, belly lowers. Exhale, lift your back, create space between the shoulder blades. And don't worry about moving your head here. Just let your head go where it naturally wants to. And take another full round. And then we'll meet in a neutral tabletop position. Now from here, we are going to come into child's pose. Since we're honoring balance and back today, we'll bring the knees together, feet together, and then we'll send the hips to the heels. Now, once we send the hips to the heels, we'll bring our arms by our sides, and then we'll lower the forehead down to the mat. So with our legs together, and our arms by our sides, we're honoring getting flexion in the spine. Child's pose is awesome for releasing the low back.
By having the arms to our sides, we're able to release the shoulders. Now remember this posture anytime you're having trouble sleeping or if you're suffering from anxiety. This is a great pose to calm the nervous system, helping us to down-regulate. This is one that you can spend more time in if you need to. Now notice if you're holding tension in your arms, and if so, give them permission to just melt down. An option I like to take here is to bring my own hands to my sacrum. So this is offering like the most gentle assist. This will be beneficial if you have trouble getting the hips to the heels. And now we'll prepare to come out. So if this feels good to you and you're really digging it, you can take another round of breath here. When you're ready to come out, we'll take the hands underneath the shoulders, palms meet the mat. Then we'll lift the head and we'll come back into that neutral tabletop. Now, know that from here, we're going to invite the balancing in. So make sure there's enough space in front of you and behind you. I'm going to try really hard to not kick these spots. All right, so we're coming into what Cruz calls the bird dog. So we're going to alternate sides. When you're ready, you're going to lift one leg. So extend it back. Now, just check in on your balance before you do anything else. If you feel like you're ready to do more, then you can lift the opposite arm. So we're taking a slow and controlled movement, alternating sides. If your right leg is lifted, you're going to practice lifting your left arm. Now, as you exhale, think about bringing your knee towards your elbow. And then inhale, re-extend. Let's do that 2 more times. Let your movement follow the breath. Slow and controlled. And then your hand meets the mat. Knee bends, knee meets the mat. Let's take a full round of breath here. Inhale through the nostrils. Exhale, open your mouth, sigh of relief. Coming for the other side. Inhale, lift and lengthen opposite leg. Feel it out. If this feels stable for your balance, then you can progress by lifting opposite arm. Reach it forward as if you're going to shake someone's hand. Now, if you feel stable here, you can move on, crunching it in, bringing knee to elbow, re-extending, and then taking a couple more. After your last round, you're going to re-extend the limbs. Hand comes down to the mat. Knee bends, knee comes down to the mat. Inhale through the nostrils. Exhale, open the mouth, big sigh of relief. Now looking at your hands, walk your hands one hand placement forward. Give yourself a little more space. We'll transition now to downward facing dog, which is an inversion. So we will curl the toes, lift the hips, and send them back. Now as you send the hips back, let the chest move towards the thighs, ears between the biceps. Maybe you pedal the feet out, so as one knee bends, opposite leg straightens. This feels really good for the calf muscles if they're tight. If you're taking this option of bending alternate knees, you can feel a really nice stretch going up the straight leg, into the hip. Continue to give yourself time here. Whenever we pedal it out, we call it walking the dog, since we're in our downward facing dog. And we'll start to transition into our next pose. So walk the hands towards your feet, and then walk your feet towards your hands. Continue to do this until the hands and the feet meet. And then, as you inhale, you can take your palms to your shins, enjoying a half lift. And then as you exhale, just let the arms dangle. Standing forward fold. a great opportunity to stretch the back of the body. Now you can take the option of bringing your hands to opposite elbows. So now you're framing your head with your arms. Let yourself relax your head and your neck. Notice how this feels. With your hands at your elbows, you can get more traction for the spine. And you can also gently rock from side to side. So think about bringing the arms to the left, to the right. If your hamstrings are really tight, you can take a micro bend in the knees. And we'll find center. And once you even out the sides, if you were taking the gentle rocks, and you find your center, you can release your arms, bend the knees deeper, and slowly start to rise up. Take your time. There's no rush. Feel into the body. Let the body transition now to standing. And as you come into your standing pose, you can lift your shoulders up and then take them back and down, setting the shoulders away from the ears. Now we are going to explore tree pose. So this is a standing balance. Now for our tree pose, we'll work one side at a time. So you can start whichever side you'd like, since we're coming into both sides. What we want to do is just plant one foot down. So you might lift the toes, spread the toes wide, and then slide the opposite foot beside the standing foot, lift the heel. Now we might start here. This is option 1. Or you might go further by taking the sole of your foot to your calf muscle. Pay attention that you don't press on your knee. Now, if this feels okay for your balance, you have an opportunity to go even deeper, which is to reach for your ankle and assist bringing your foot to your inner thigh. Now, this isn't going to be for everybody, so it's all good if this is too much for you. If you're not outside surrounded by space, maybe you're in your home and you can bring your hands to a wall space for support if you need to. So lots of options for the hands. The hands can maintain themselves at the hips or to a wall space, or maybe you bring your hands to your heart center. Now, if your foot is to your inner thigh, think about pressing foot and thigh together. That's going to help with your stability and balance. And then we'll slowly come out. So we'll lower the hands down first. As you inhale, lift your knees, separate your foot. Exhale, bring it down. As you plant that foot, shift the weight there, lift the opposite heel. The leg that was just your standing leg, we're going to rotate the knee around. So we're giving ourselves an opportunity to stretch the arch of the foot. We might have felt like we were holding on to tension there. And then we'll switch it around opposite direction. And we'll keep the heel lifted, slide the toes over. So this is where we start, option 1. Option 2, we bring the sole of the foot to the calf muscle. Feel it out. Option to stay here, or option to take it foot to inner thigh. Remember, we don't want the foot pressing on the knee. We want to protect the knee joint. Totally cool to leave your hands at your hips, or bring them to your heart center. Or maybe you find that wall space to help you with your balance. Tree pose. This is pretty cool because for today, I just happened to be filming outside in nature, and I've got all these trees behind me while I'm in my tree pose. I can lift my arms up as if they're my branches. So I feel like I'm one with the forest. It's pretty cool. All right, so we are slowly going to come out. Take the hands to the hips. On an inhale breath, lift the knee. Exhale, take it down, shift the weight over. Lift the heel of the foot that was just your standing foot and circle the knee out. Let that tension go. Feel the toes flex. And then opposite direction.
Cool. Now bring your feet hip distance. So when you look at your feet, there's enough space for one more foot of yours to fit between the two. And then from this position, we'll inhale, lift the arms up, fingertips towards the sky. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Coming back to our forward fold. From here, we're going to transition into warrior three. So for our warrior three, one leg is going to lift. Now to get there, you can take a little bend in the leg that's going to be your standing leg, and then start to lift the opposite leg. So maybe your fingertips stay grounded on the mat. Maybe your hands come to your hips. Hands to hips is a great idea to help square the hips. So we don't want the hips stacking above each other. We want them in line with each other. Now, as you take a little micro bend in your standing leg, think about kicking your lifted heel up. Lifted foot is flexed. Bend the standing knee even more, so slowly and controlled, bringing foot down and then coming back into your forward fold. Now here's an opportunity to feel into the hamstrings. Maybe you bend your knees and then straighten. Notice if one leg feels different than the other. Just give yourself time to breathe here. We're going to alternate to the other side. So now coming into the other side, maybe starting on your fingertips. Opposite knee is going to take a little micro bend, and we'll kick the opposite leg up. Now finding your slow and controlled movement, flexing the lifted foot, reaching the crown of the head forward, squaring those hips. Breathe. Feel the engagement in the hip of the standing leg. Lots of strengthening and balancing happening here. And then we'll bring this lifted foot down, come back into our fold, hang out here for a couple rounds of breath. Maybe taking a half lift on an inhale. And then exhale, fold, feeling into the hamstrings. This is a smart progression of practicing our balance from a kneeling position before practicing it from a standing position. Now from here, inhale, half lift, look at your hands, walk them forward, one hand placement, and then slowly step your feet back. So we're coming into our down dog position again. So this is going to help us transition down to the mat. From standing, we're going to ground down. So we'll soften the knees, bend the knees, lower them to the mat. And then we'll bend the elbows, uncurl the toes, lower chest and chin, and then let the thighs and the belly connect down. Now bring your hands under your shoulders, press the tops of the feet to the mat, and as you inhale, lift your chest. Maybe you gaze forward, maybe you gaze down to the mat. Cobra pose. Notice how it feels in your body. See about taking another breath. And then on your next exhale, release down. Full round of breath here. And then we'll use our strength to transition out. Pushing the mat away, straightening the arms, lifting the hips. Here you can take an optional child's pose. Since we did a little back bending there with our cobra, we can take a counter stretch here. So in cobra, we had extension of the spine. Now moving into flexion. And this transition helps us to move into our seated pose. So as we inhale, we'll lift the crown of the head up, slowly taking our time to rise up. Now finding a neutral spine, axial extension. Crown of the head is rising up to the sky. Ears are above the shoulders. Shoulders are above the hips. Maybe you close your eyes here. Notice any sounds around you. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. And relax your face. Relax your jaw by separating your teeth. Take another full round of breath here. And then we'll lift the hips just enough to bring the feet out to one side. We'll bring the legs forward. And as we bring the legs forward, we'll come into an easy seat. So from our easy seat, our hips are grounded to the mat. We might take time to grab some water, so it's really important for us to stay hydrated. In our yoga practice, it's beneficial to take sips instead of gulps, especially if you're doing inversions. That way you don't feel like your water's coming back up. So feel free to give yourself a minute, get hydrated, take a sip of water, just ground down. All right, so we've got 2 more options for our sequence today. These next 2 are going to be from a reclined position. So make sure that as you're setting yourself up, you've got enough space on your mat for your head to connect down. And as you come down to the mat, to the ground, whatever space you're working in, bend your knees, bring your heels towards your glutes. Just give yourself a minute to feel your tailbone, your back, your shoulders, and your head connected. And then open your arms out. So think wrist in line with the shoulders. We'll lift the feet off the mat. We'll think about stacking the knees above the hips and positioning the ankles in line with the knees. So like the shape you would take if you were sitting in a chair, but your arms opened out like the letter T. Now inhale deeply through the nostrils. And as you exhale, take both knees over to the left. Practice keeping that right shoulder down. Spinal twisting. On the next inhale, lift the knees up. And then exhale, take the knees over to the right. Practice keeping the left shoulder down. Inhale, knees to center. And then exhale, knees come over to the left. Now this time, we'll give ourselves a few rounds of breath here. So you might start with your head gazing straight up. If you want to deepen the spiraling of the twist, you can look over to your right hand. If that is not comfortable for your neck, you can look back up, or maybe you look over to the left towards your knees. Notice how your back feels in this position. And prepare to switch it up on the other side. So on an inhale breath, we'll lift the knees up. Exhale, take the knees over to the right. Notice this nice massage on your hips as you move from side to side. And then taking a little pause here, few rounds of breath. With the knees to the right, we can look over to the left. We can keep the head centered, or we can look to the right. Notice if it feels different, twisting in this direction. Know that we're going to take 1 more on each side. Next, inhale breath lifts the knees up. Exhale, knees to the left. Now this time, if you want to go a little deeper, you might let that left palm rest on the outside of the right thigh. Not pushing, just gently guiding the leg down. If you want to get into the IT band, you might straighten the right leg. Take your left hand to the pinky side. Extend, straighten the leg. Feel a great stretch. If you try that and that's just way too much, then you can let go, rebend the knee. And then when you're ready, inhale, lift to center. Exhale, last time taking the knees over to the right. Option to stay in your spinal twist with the knees bent, or option to extend the leg. Maybe the hand meets the foot. Remember, if that's too much, you can always release, rebend the knee. Listen to your body. And then inhale, lift the knees to center. Now keep the feet lifted. Rotate the soles of the feet up towards the sky. So there's a deep bend in the knees, and we want to take the knees as wide as they can go. So think about the knees coming outside of the ribs rather than into the chest or the torso. Now you might take your hands to the back of the knees, or you might reach for your ankles. If you can keep your tailbone connected to the mat, you can take your peace fingers, your index and middle fingers, so hook onto your big toes. Or some people like to take their hands to the pinky sides of their feet. So find whichever option is working for the connection of hands to feet or hands to legs. Remember, we want that tailbone pressing down to the mat. And in our happy baby, we can stay in stillness, or we can gently rock from side to side, just giving ourselves an opportunity to release any tension in the low back. Might even feel a nice massage in the back space. And then from here, we might extend the legs if that's available, or we might do one side at a time. We'll find center, release the feet. Release the arms, let the arms ground down, feet find the mat. And then we extend the legs so the heels of the feet come down to the mat. So this is a nice way to come into Shavasana if you'd like a few minutes of relaxation, just inviting stillness into the body. And this is a nice option to take to integrate the work that you've done and to just give yourself some time to be present in your own body. So feel free to give yourself as much time as you want or need there. If and when you're ready to transition out, you can gently roll over onto one side, or you can lift the legs, take the hands behind the knees, roll up to a seated position. And just simply notice how your body feels now. Invite in gratitude to yourself for exploring balance, for allowing yourself to take movements to ease tension from your back. And just know that the practice is always available to you anytime that you need to release congestion from the body. If you'd like to join me as we close our practice together today, you can just close the eyes, bring the gaze inward. As you inhale, sweep the arms up, fingertips towards the sky, gathering all the energy you need for the rest of your day. And then as you exhale, bring the thumbs into the heart center. Just resting the thumbs to the heart. Inhale, feel the chest rise. Exhale, soften, open your mouth, sigh of relief. Now, just letting the hands rest. As we close our practice today, I want to again give another shout out to my student Cruz for doing such a great job and making a really thoughtful sequence. For me, it's really important to learn and share with each other. I'm so proud of him, and I hope that you all enjoyed this. Please feel free to reach out to me with any questions at all, and I will see you next time. Namaste.